Hello everyone, Lytro Storm here, and today I'm hopping back into the story of what if Goku never hit his head. Before we get into the recap, if you're new to this series or need to catch up, the link to the series will be in both the description and comments section. But basically in the last part, we covered the events of the Android Saga. Future Goten, Trunks, and Cella ended up killing both their own timeline and the main timeline's androids, leading to the Cell arc never really occurring. However, Cell did sneak up on an alternate version of future Goten and steal the time machine, which led to him coming to the main timeline. He tried absorbing some cities, but our much stronger Yamcha was able to take him out with the Kaioken technique. Luckily for him, Cell had barely survived and regenerated, realizing that he had to get stronger by training in secret. He doesn't have Frieza's DNA though, so he won't be too overpowered. But that's basically the recap. So if you enjoy this video, please don't be afraid to drop a like and subscribe. It's always much appreciated. And as always, be sure to join my Discord and follow me on Twitter. Links in the description. So we start our story off 7 years after the defeat of Cell. Kakarot has been spending this time training with Piccolo, Raditz, Bardock, and his son Goten, who is almost 11 by the way. Also joining in on the training would be Cella, Bardock's daughter, who is a bit younger than Trunks. This training leads to all of the Saiyans mentioned unlocking Super Saiyan 2, and Vegeta would also be training, mainly on his own, but his son Trunks takes a bigger role since he is much weaker than Goten and wants to surpass him. It needs to be noted that Vegeta and Kakarot would have had many battles during the 7 years, leading to Vegeta basically having no malice towards Kakarot. He understands that his rival is stronger, but it isn't necessarily going to stop him from training to beat him one day. Yamcha and Krillin would have also kept up their own training. This is due to Yamcha being fired up from defeating Cell and using a technique that no one else could. And Krillin is training because he doesn't have 18, as she had been killed, so he figures he should keep training in order to help Yamcha and protect the Earth. The Budokai would be announced, and the whole Z team would enter, minus Tenshinhan and Chaozu, who were doing their own training to keep up. Gohan and Videl would also enter, along with the Supreme Kai and Kibito. This time though, Goten and Trunks wouldn't, since they would be more disciplined in this timeline, and would instead fight only in the Junior Division, where Goten would win easily. Once the tournament starts going though, someone takes note of all these powers and decides to take some action. As the Budokai progresses, it would get to the point where everyone would learn of Babidi's plan, and so they'd head off with the Supreme Kai to handle it. On their way to Babidi's lair, a blast is shot in front of the entire squad. They all turn to see a tall green figure standing atop a mountain, and Yamcha is all too familiar with this key, and so are some of the others as well. They sense their own key within this guy, and ask who he could be. Yamcha says that he knows who it is, and that he was the guy he said he'd killed after the androids were dealt with. However, he does look far different now. Cell would thank Yamcha for fighting him, as it led to him realizing that the androids were dead, and that he had to gain more strength by training. By the way, Cell would be in his perfect form, since we know that he doesn't have to absorb the androids to transform. This is because 18 gets knocked out of him in the original, and yet when he gains power from the Zenkai, he becomes perfect again. So once Cell reaches a certain level of power, he changes form anyway, and this Cell is far stronger than the original Cell. The android would go on to say how his training led to him being even stronger than he would have been if he had absorbed the androids. And while they were having fun at the tournament, he decided to absorb some more cities just to give him another buff. Cell would now make his offer to battle against Kakarot, and Bardock would ask if he could win. His son says that he could probably do it in Super Saiyan 2, but it definitely would not be an easy fight. Kakarot accepts Cell's offer, beginning to transform. And seeing this, the Supreme Kai says that they still need to deal with Babidi, and so Piccolo, Yamcha, Krillin, Goten, Trunks, and Cella would join him and Kibito. Meanwhile, Kakarot would be scrapping with Cell, and would be beating him using Super Saiyan 2, however, as said, it wasn't an easy fight at all. Cell was really putting up a good effort, and with him having the skills of the others, it made it very hard for Kakarot to put him down. Especially since this Kakarot doesn't have instant transmission, Super Saiyan 3, or fusion, so he really only has the slight power advantage here. Going back to the Supreme Kai and the others, they would arrive at Babidi's lair. Here, Dabura kills Kibito and turns Piccolo and Yamcha to stone. This leaves only Piccolo, Goten, and Trunks to fight against Babidi's men, and Supreme Kai hopes they're enough. Goten would be up first, and using Super Saiyan, he can easily take out Pui Pui. I mean, base Vegeta had no trouble with him, and this Goten would surpass that power by a lot when transformed. Next up would be Trunks and Cella, who would have to team up to fight Yakon. This would seem easy at first, but would become much more dangerous when they realized that Yakon can absorb the Super Saiyan's light. This leads to the two children trying to work together and find a solution while still trying to put up a good fight. It would be a big struggle with the two relying on each other for support, until Cella realizes what they've got to do. She tells Trunks to go Super Saiyan 2, and he protests, but she yells at him to just do it. The two finally would, blasting Yakon with all of their energy, and this would overflow his body just like it did when Goku did it, leading to him exploding. Piccolo is proud of the kids managing to do so well, and Trunks would actually realize that maybe Cella was cooler than he thought. Now it comes down to Piccolo versus Dabura, but this Piccolo is insanely stronger than in the original. He wouldn't even have to take off his weights to fight this guy, and would still easily kill the Demon King. Babidi begins getting scared. How could they all be dead before he got enough energy? He got desperate. No one in the lair had evil within them, but someone else caught his eye. Cell would be taken aback by his perfect power being bested, as it should be enough to beat Kakarot. He got enraged, and then he began grabbing at his face and screaming. His power expanded, making him far stronger than he was before. When he looked up, he had an M on his forehead. Kakarot knew that he wouldn't be able to win against such a strong opponent, and so did the others. Piccolo sensed this incredible power, but knew that he had to stop Babidi before he summoned someone even stronger. The kids asked what they could do, and he told them to get the Dragon Radar from Bulma and find the Dragon Balls. Back to Cell, all the Saiyans powered up to aid Kakarot against him, but the android knew that he couldn't let this happen. He created 3 Cell Juniors, which would be more than enough to stop their interference. After this, he continues to batter Kakarot, and the Cell Juniors easily do the same to the others. This gives Babidi a ton of energy to utilize for Majin Buu's revival, and so when Piccolo arrives, he cuts Babidi in half. However, by that point, it was too late. All the energy rushed to Buu's egg, leading to him bursting out of it. Now Piccolo, Yamcha, Krillin, and Shin had to stop him in combat. They do their best, with Yamcha tapping into the Kaioken far higher than Goku ever did originally, but that still wasn't even a challenge for Majin Buu. Both Krillin and Yamcha were turned to candy and eaten right in front of Piccolo's eyes. But even then, Buu didn't stop, incapacitating both him and Shin and leaving them both to die. He then headed toward the next strong opponent along with the healed Babidi. By this point, all of our heroes are beaten down badly by Cell and his children, and he is just about to kill them. But that's when Majin Buu arrives. He can tell that Cell is a strong guy, and so he wants to fight him. Cell agrees to this once he is done with his match, but Buu gets angry. He yells that he wants to fight now, and so Cell is left with no choice but to teach this blob a lesson. He sends his Cell Juniors after him, but Buu beats each one while laughing. He seemed to be enjoying this and was goofing around. Now Cell was even more angry. He powered up fully and began attacking Buu, and this gave Kakarot the perfect chance to go to Korin's to get some Senzu beans. Everyone would be healed up, but would be in awe at how easily Cell was being beaten. With this, the bio-android gets even more furious, unleashing as many strong blows as he can, but Buu seems unfazed. He uses a solar Kamehameha, but Buu is able to tank that with little damage before recreating the move himself. He fires it off, and this wipes out Majin Cell. Now Buu was ready for another fight, but everyone knew they'd be too weak. I mean, they couldn't beat Cell, and Cell was losing to Buu, so yeah, they're not even going to stand a chance. Seeing this, Raditz would now propose an offer to Buu that they could give him a really good fight in about 2 days, and so Buu would accept this reluctantly, killing Babidi as well. He'd then go off to wipe out a lot of Earth's population. By now, the kids have gathered the Dragon Balls and summoned Shenron, wishing for every good person who was killed today to be returned to life. This leads to Kibito being revived and healing Shin and Piccolo, who then go back to Supreme Kai's planet, where Piccolo begins training with the Z-Sword. As for our group, they'd save the next 2 wishes, and the gang would now all regroup on the lookout. Their plan would be to use the time chamber, as that was their only way to gain strength fast. If the adults failed, then the kids would have to train as well, and hopefully defend the Earth. The 4 Saiyans decided to maximize their training by all entering together. Sure, they'd run out of food faster, but that way they could have a lot more training partners, and if Buu arrives early, they'd all be ready. The 4 would enter the time chamber and begin their training. And meanwhile, Majin Buu finds Mr. Satan and the two become friends. This leads into Mr. Satan being shot, which makes Buu split apart, and then the two parts combine to become Super Buu. So now that they are much stronger and much more impatient, they fly up to the lookout and demand the fight to take place now. The kids would know that they couldn't do anything even if they tried, and so they would get the adults from the time chamber. The four Saiyans stepped out, far stronger than ever before. Buu was now ready to commence with the battle, and so all of them rushed at him together. However, even their upgraded strength wasn't nearly enough to take on the likes of Super Buu. This ended up forcing all of them to give their energy to Kakarot, allowing for him to use a Super Kamehameha. This attack was incredibly powerful, but left Buu with little more than a scratch. Luckily for them though, the others had taken Senzu Beans after giving up their energy. This meant that they were back at full strength, even stronger than they were due to adapting as the fight went on. Kakarot also took one himself, and now the four of them all fired their strongest attacks at Buu at the same time. This one actually did significant damage to Super Buu, finally making him happy. Unfortunately though, that attack had used up all of their energy, meaning that they could no longer properly fight. Buu slapped them all away and prepared to kill them, when he sensed an incredible power. Piccolo lands on the lookout, now in his ultimate form. Because Piccolo was far stronger than Gohan was, he was able to break the Z-Sword a lot faster, leading to him getting the potential unlock faster, which is why he's showing up earlier than Gohan did. He told Super Buu that he wasn't going to pull his punches, as he knew he had to do his duty as Guardian of Earth. Buu charged in, but every blow got countered by the Namekian. On the flip side, every blow Piccolo landed was devastating to Buu, as this ultimate warrior was even stronger than Gohan originally. He asked Super Buu if he had any last words, to which he tried doing the self-detonation to escape, however Piccolo didn't let that happen. He turned Buu into dust with one simple ki blast. Everyone was amazed at Piccolo's power and thanked him for the save. The Dragon Balls were then used once again to bring back everyone good Buu had killed in the last few days. And that perfectly ends our 8th part to this series. So what did you guys think of Cell's return? It was sad that he didn't get his own arc, but at least he had some cool fights as well as the Majin form. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and consider subscribing to see the next part. But as always, tell me if you liked this part, tell me what you think will happen next, comment your requests for future videos, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.